Hello everyone and welcome back to the Wellbeing Centre. We're interviewing a whole host of therapists that work here. Today we have Theresa Carter Hypnotherapy, which is very exciting. We're going to explore a little bit more, pick your brains, and I'll let the professional do the talking. So firstly, Theresa, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business to start with?
Yeah. So I first started out in 2013 and I used to be in the corporate world and I got to the point where I just had enough. I was travelling all over the country. And the only thing that I enjoyed about that job was coaching my team.
So there it was.
Yeah.
Your light bulb moment of
That's it,
your calling.
yeah.
Nice, yeah.
So I had a car accident and that was really the turning point for me.
Wow.
I did a bit of soul searching and I just thought, do you know what? I've had enough.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, I was researching how to become a therapist. But by chance, hypnosis came up on Google and I started to explore it and I seemed really fascinated with it.
Something clicked.
Yeah, because
nice.
I've always been into self-healing and self-therapy books. So I had a look and before I knew it, I was on it. That was
it, yeah. This was something you couldn't let go of. Oh,
exactly.
That's lovely. It sounds like you're speaking with a lot of great passion there.
There is a lot of passion.
Yeah.
And I feel so lucky to be able to do what I love to do. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to help so many people.
Oh, that's so lovely.
So I just feel grateful that every day I get up and do what I love.
And you have a spring in your step doing it, I'm sure.
Yeah, you don't have that feeling of dread about getting up in the morning, or on Monday morning everybody knows that when they get up, they think, oh, I've got to go work again, and you know, I don't have that feeling of dread.
Wow.
I look, who have I got in today?
Oh wow! So, who is the sort of person you like to work with?
Well, to start with, I was working with the stop smoking, weight loss,
of course,
phobias. But when I started to get into what my specialisms were, I found that I wanted to work with more anxiety, depression, OCD, the complicated stuff, I guess, because I like being like a little detective. When someone comes to me, it's a blank canvas and they often don't know what they need. They just know
they need something.
They're feeling a certain way, and quite often they don't know why they're feeling like that. So it's my job really to explore that with them, and it's a collaborative process. You know, we're working together. And it's really important that they feel comfortable with their therapist.
Absolutely. So they can open up and they can sort of revisit times. They revisit those not so nice times that they need to work through. So can you tell us a little bit about respect and confidentiality? Of course, I know that's very important. Can you tell us a bit about how you have helped someone on their journey?
Oh gosh, there's so many. Who do I
that's
pick?
Lovely to hear. Thank you.
There was only one yesterday.
Wow.
She's a lady, and I've asked her permission if I can use her story.
Okay, you've come prepared. Brilliant, lovely.
So she's from Belgium, and we did a Zoom. We do our therapy over Zoom, and there's not many I do over Zoom, but it's becoming more popular now because when you get recommended to family that live abroad, you know, they want to see you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wherever you are in the world.
And technology allows that. So.
Exactly. So She, as time has gone on in her life, she was suffering with anxiety and depression. And there came a time recently where she was having a lot of pain in her body. And so she went through a series of medical examinations and tests and things. And they then diagnosed her with fibromyalgia, which I appreciate is a really painful experience every day that you get up, you know, your joints are aching, it's inflammation in the body. And it was really crippling her. And she'd gone into a new relationship, and she'd only been in this relationship for 6 months. And she fell head over heels in love with this guy. But he said to her last week, "Your illness is too much for me."
Oh.
Okay?
Not what someone wants to hear.
No. And she decided it was a mutual agreement that they end the relationship.
Right.
Because she was starting to feel that she couldn't express her emotions to him.
Yeah.
Because if she did, then he would leave her. This is what she was feeling. And I said to her, "What would sum up how you're feeling right now?" And she said, "Damaged goods."
Oh.
I said, "That's interesting. Can you tell me the very first time that you felt that way?" And she sat there and she thought about it. She said, "Well, it goes way back." I said, "That's fine. Tell me what you remember." And she said that she remembered being very poorly, and her mother, 'cause she was feeling really sick, and she said, "I really don't want to go to school today, Mum. I feel ill." And her mother said, "There's nothing wrong with you. You're going to school. Stop lying." So, but her dad, she got upset, and her dad then said, "Look, you know, okay, I'll stay at home with her." Now, all day she was vomiting. She was really poorly, but she started to doubt. Even then, she was about 7 years old, and she started to doubt that she was actually sick, even though she'd been vomiting all day. So I said to her, "Do you think there could be a link here?" And she said, "Now that I'm telling you this, I think there could be, because when I was a baby, I had to have a serious operation to save me."
Oh gosh. Okay.
And my mum was suffering with postnatal depression. So that in itself, if she was emotionally neglected, you know, and she'd already been separated from her mum to have the operation, that's traumatic in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because you've just come out of the womb, you're scared, and, you know, you want to feel safe. So she didn't feel safe even as a baby, because she doesn't obviously remember that experience, but there is a part of her brain that does.
Of course, yeah.
Because every single experience that we've ever had in our entire life has been stored in that lower level of awareness. Now, some is stored to keep you safe.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but some is stored that this information is not good for us. Obviously, her brain had experienced an adverse childhood experience.
Right, and that is the technical term.
Yeah, so therefore, that experience that she had even from a baby and going on into childhood, this was a common theme. Her mum never attended to her emotional needs. She would shut her down. So if she felt upset about something, if she needed her mum in any way, she would feel that she couldn't go to her mother and tell her how she was feeling, It was, you know, the expression, be seen and not heard. So all of these emotions have been suppressed in her childhood because she didn't have a voice. You know, she wasn't allowed to because that wasn't the done thing. Now, we're not saying this is her mum's fault because she may have been brought up that way. But what's happened is all of these emotions where she's built up, and I like to call them cover emotions, because you've got these emotions that sit right at the bottom, and then you've got all these emotions then just
piling up.
And of course, if you've never ever expressed those emotions or not been allowed to,
they're lingering,
and they're open wounds.
They come up in ways that we don't expect sometimes, don't we? And it sounds like those come up with the ex-partner now in that situation.
He's triggered her.
He's triggered that open wound.
Yeah.
Wow.
But she's attracted that type of relationship.
Absolutely.
All her life, since she'd been an adult, every relationship, she attracted someone that was emotionally unavailable.
Because that's what she knew, and that's what she was sort of brought up. We spoke of this adverse childhood trauma. How much does that play a part in adult life?
I mean, research says that 60% of the population have had at least one childhood experience, adverse childhood experience. So they call it ACE. Okay. So there was a study done of the effect of childhood trauma on our health as adults, whether that be mental health or physical health.
Yeah.
So we're someone who's had, say, one traumatic experience, you are more likely to get heart disease. So the number one cause of death, and that goes along with your cancer and serious illnesses. Now, the more that the ACEs build up, so you've had 2, 3, 4 with cancer, then you're literally doubling, quadrupling really, your chances of becoming really sick.
Wow, your body physically bringing that trauma out in you.
Yeah.
So how, as a hypnotherapist, can you help unpick, try and heal some of those old wounds? Because they don't go away. We learn to manage them.
There's two things here really, because there's the people that feel a certain way, or they're having panic attacks, but they don't know why. Yeah, and then you've got the person who will come to me and tell me everything that happened to them throughout their lifetime.
Right.
So I had one lady that I saw many years ago, and I'll always remember her because she said to me, I don't know what it is, Theresa, but every time I see the colour red, I start to feel with dread.
And she didn't know why.
She didn't know why.
But she knew
I start
the
to
feeling.
have that, chemical reaction to that colour red. So it's starting to put her on high alert. Her alarm goes off, which is the amygdala, and it puts her into fight and flight. But I have no idea why.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how on earth do you support someone that they don't even know? How can you find that out for them? Well, with them,
in these circumstances, I would regress her back to childhood. Right. And I would see if there's anything there that correlates with what she's saying about the colour red. Now, I think I took her back to when she was the age of 4, and we're very suggestible. So between the ages of when we're born to around about 7, 8 years old, we're in our brain frequency, which is the most suggestible frequency. So it's called some call it the theta theta. Yeah. I'm not sure which one actually, but you're in that brain frequency when you go into hypnosis.
Yes.
So I then take them into hypnosis, and as I said, I regress them and find out if there's anything there that the subconscious is willing to
let out,
basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So unfortunately for this lady, she had a family member that had sexually abused her, and she was wearing a red dress.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And could you maybe shine a bit of light on this? Because that memory, it's almost like her brain didn't want to remember that incident, but held on to the colour red. Yeah. Can our brains almost switch off from, it sounds like it can, switch off from those memories to protect us? Is that why it does that?
It's absolutely, you're correct there, because the brain is always wanting to keep you safe.
Yeah.
You know, the amygdala wants to keep you safe, which is why it switches on the alarm.
Right.
Yeah. But when you've having repeated experiences of childhood abuse for a family member who they, are looking to for, comfort and safety and to feel secure. So basically, if you think about what she went through as a child and how her amygdala was activated, so what her brain will do is it will park that experience
and suppress it.
There's two things here actually, because sometimes it can get filed unprocessed, which sits in a different part of the brain.
Gosh.
Okay, the front cortex, the lobe. So what happens then, it hasn't actually been dealt with, or which is where PTSD comes from.
Right. Post-traumatic
stress. So I was on the fence here of where it was. So I did, as I regressed her and she revealed this traumatic experience, I worked with her to get her to change how she felt about it.
A lot of shame.
I mean, there was a lot of shame. Yeah. So we went into that this wasn't your fault.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was nothing that you did that caused your family member to actually sexually abuse you.
Wow, so you deal with some pretty really, really heavy traumas for people and facilitate them to sort of forgive themselves, really.
Yeah, she needed to go through a lot of adults that have been sexually abused actually blame themselves. They feel disgusting. They must have done something that caused this. And the thing is, unfortunately, that can go on to you being the perpetrator later on in life. So
whoa.
There is
Wow, that's speechless. I'd never connected that. Wow. So it's something you should deal with for your own sake, really, and your own quality of life.
Yeah.
Wow. Is there any other examples of childhood trauma that can really have an impact? And
there's so many. You know, if you're brought up with a parent that is suffering with mental health, you know, they're going through their own, traumas and they don't have the capacity, to be able to give to their child.
Yeah.
So there's so many versions of childhood trauma, because you've got, parents that use substances to, you know, whether they're taking drugs or, you know, their mother is a prostitute or, you know, they have been physically or mentally abused. I had one lady who had witnessed war. I mean, horrific. Yeah. And I'm not even going to go through what she went through, because honestly, that was a really difficult, moving, you know, session for me. I would say, you know, as a therapist, you've got to learn to be able to, you know, not get emotionally attached. That one was very, very difficult. But to obviously help her as a therapist, you've got to stay detached emotionally.
Absolutely.
So that traumatic event was constantly repeated. And she saw people mutilated, all sorts of things, babies killed.
Goodness.
So that really affected her. So she was constantly on high alert her whole life. And, you know, it just needed resetting, but she was suffering from post-traumatic stress.
I'm not surprised.
So for many, many years, and it was undiagnosed.
Yeah.
It was undiagnosed because she made no connection, really, that was what was causing her panic attacks.
Wow.
Now, in the present. So what we did, we went to her old wounds, but what I wanted to do, because I also am an EMDR practitioner, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing.
Wow.
So, you know, I said earlier that sometimes experiences get parked. That's where EMDR works with.
Okay, so different parts of the brain is storing different information.
Yeah.
And what would you call a trauma? Is that subjective to the person? Do we have any right to say that's a trauma, that's not?
Do you know, that's such an interesting question.
I don't know if there's an answer.
And it's a very, very relevant question.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got the statistics that say what is deemed as a trauma.
Yeah.
Okay. But I did regress one girl who, her trauma, I was expecting something quite horrific. You should never do that as a therapist, but I was. It was the early days. And her friend wrote to her and said she didn't want to be a friend anymore.
I can see how that can be traumatic for someone.
Yeah, so for her brain, you know, saw that as a rejection.
Yeah.
So therefore, she's gone throughout of her life fearing rejection, feeling unloved.
Was there any connection with maybe childhood experience that made that rejection so difficult for her?
Oh, I mean, she went through a series of bullying. So actually the girl that had actually stopped being her friend went on to be a bully and then got an alliance. So all of her friends became this girl's, you know, they became the enemy. So there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
And that's another traumatic event because, you know, children that are subjected to constant abuse at school can result in self-harming. I've got a lot of teenagers at the moment that, you know, are self-harming. The parents are worried about them. They've been suicidal. And the reason why they self-harm is because they're so overwhelmed with the emotional pain that it's causing. They don't know what to do with it because they haven't learned from their parents how to manage an emotion.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different podcast. So when you feel so overwhelmed, that emotion feels like actual pain.
Physically feeling it.
Yeah,
it's interesting how our body can hold on to these things.
So that's a release. So when they cut themselves or hurt themselves, they're focused on the pain, not the emotion.
Yeah, it's that distraction almost from what is going on. Wow, so what sort of clients are you looking to work with? Do you work with a particular age group? Is it a vast, open to anyone willing to dig a bit deeper?
I don't know what's going on, but I've really been sent so many different clients, and I stopped wanting to work with the stop smoking, guys, and the weight loss and things, because it wasn't fulfilling me anymore as a therapist. So, and I felt that I wanted to work with what was very close to my heart. Yeah. That I felt very passionate about. And I think as a therapist, if you work with what you're passionate about, you're going to be the best therapist that you can try and be.
Yeah, absolutely.
On top of that, as a therapist, you've got to want to be able to keep studying and
always learning.
Always learning,
yeah.
Which I did extra training, learning in emotion solutions. Wow. So working with emotions.
Emotions, how many emotions is there? Is there a number? So many emotions. We're human beings, it's what we do.
And it's your interpretation, isn't it, of an emotion?
Very true. Interesting. Fabulous. So you're always open to working with different people. Do they need to want to open those wounds? Do you need something from them where they do need, a little bit of cooperation, should we say?
Of course. I had one lady who came into me who was drinking too much, and she didn't want to go there.
No.
She wanted, because some people deem hypnotherapy as a magic wand. Just hypnotise me, stop me drinking, and I'll be on my way. Well, I'm afraid it doesn't work that way.
No.
If it did, I'd be a millionaire.
Yeah, you would.
Okay.
Take my money. But there needs to be a lot more work.
It's collaborative.
It is.
It works two ways. I like to use the CBT principles, cognitive behavioural therapy, which I'm sure I know as a training psychologist.
Yes.
You're very much aware of. And so a combination of these therapies I think is very helpful. Sometimes one type of therapy doesn't fit all. Yeah. So for me, I'm looking at who am I working with, how do they communicate, how do they deal with their own emotions, what are they willing to work with, because some people, if you give them homework to do,
they won't do it.
Some people, you just know actually the ones that are gonna go home and do the work. Sometimes they surprise you. I've had one guy on Monday, I sent him away to do some work on intrusive thoughts.
Oh, interesting.
Because he was believing that every thought that he had was real. And of course, we tell ourselves stories, don't we? 70 to 80% of our thoughts are not even true.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Because they're not fact.
Yeah.
They haven't happened.
So understanding your brain and really working with it then can really help find out what we need in fact to keep us going and happy, and then what we can brush off a little bit.
And I gave him some homework to do and said to him, why are you believing them?
Yeah.
Become the boss of your thoughts, because intrusive thoughts are very disturbing. Sometimes intrusive thoughts can be very disturbing and you don't know why you have them. But as a psychiatrist said to me once, everybody gets intrusive thoughts.
Natural part of our being.
It's how you respond to those thoughts, whether you believe them. Because that thought turns into a scripted story, and before you know it, you're playing out the movie.
Am I right in saying our memory is not as reliable as we think?
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is why the police like to take statements as soon as possible.
Interesting.
Because we've got something called false memory syndrome. So when we've had an experience, our memory, of that experience, we can add to it, we can delete, we can make all sorts of stories up.
Edit a whole thing that never happened.
So someone might come to me and say, this has happened, and I said, how many years ago?
Yes.
But they may have made that up.
And how does that, it doesn't help in your work, does it? Because
a memory is a memory, whether it's false or not.
Okay, and the impact of that is the same, really, isn't it, in our minds?
Because the brain believes whatever you tell it. So if you think, there was a study done once where there were two people who played the piano. They were put in two different rooms. One person was told to play the piano, their piece of music, so the piano was there, they sat down, got their piece of music and played it, at the same time as being scanned, their brain being scanned. The other person, he walked into a room, there was no piano, just a chair. So he was asked to imagine he was playing the piano, to make it vivid, close his eyes, see the piano, feel the keys under his fingers, bring in the colour, bring in the music, feel it as much as you can, make it in 3D and make it as real as you can. So it was really interesting, and this really stuck with me because the scan results came out that the brain believed that they were both playing the piano.
Wow, so you can believe what you tell it, as you said. There's something I've read recently about like horror films and things, and we can't tell that that's not actually happening. Okay, you're giving me a nod, so I'm right. I read.
Guys, don't watch horror films.
I know I don't, and because I'm terrified. But your brain believes what you tell it. So you see all these graphic and quite horrific films, and you're thinking that's happening.
I know of a 10-year-old that, their parent, or I think it was their grandfather, who would let them watch a horror film with them.
How to do it.
And then she couldn't sleep on her own for months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Goodness.
That's how much effect, because her brain had perceived that as a threat.
Wow.
A real life threat.
Yeah.
So it put her on high alert.
Absolutely. So what can we do to help our brain to feed those better thoughts that are going to help us a bit more in life, not sort of hold us back and give us things like panic attacks and anxiety?
Well, first of all, I think, because obviously it goes back to the adverse childhood experiences, that quite often the knock-on effect of that is low self-esteem and confidence. Now, the two are very connected, because I think, when you've got good self-esteem and knowledge about yourself, and you know who you are, it makes you feel safe and secure. So you're not an insecure, attached style. You are, you feel safe because you're able to make yourself feel safe. When it's the other way round and you're fearful, it's about responding to that fear, understanding that it's not real because it hasn't happened. And then telling the brain a different story. So with this guy, I said to him, just say to yourself, the intrusive thought comes in, and say to the thought, you are just an intrusive thought.
Say it what it is.
Say it what it is. And then you could ask it, are you fact or not fact? Just a simple question. You don't need to ask it millions of questions. Are you fact or not fact? And if it's fact, okay, we can deal with that. We look at that. But if it's not fact, why on earth would you hold on to it?
How's it serving you?
Yeah. There are some techniques that I taught him. I don't know whether this is for another podcast, but
to really dive into it, it sounds like we need you for a lot of podcasts. You're very, very knowledgeable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There are some techniques that you can use that deal with intrusive thoughts that are actually very quick. I mean, this one was extremely quick, but I think we'll work with that.
Have some strategies in a whole.
But so you're asking it whether it's real, because you're taking the thought to court, really, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. You're calling it out. You're acknowledging it and saying, hang on. And I like that, taking it to court. I like that.
Yeah. So if you're going to cross-examine the thought, hasn't happened, has it? So because anything in the future, it cannot possibly be real, can it?
Brilliant. And in that, those questioning your thoughts, having ownership of your thoughts, they can really change how one lives their life, really, moving forward.
Yeah, it's very debilitating for people.
Yeah.
And those thoughts often come in because of past experiences.
Yeah.
But that's not happening now.
Yeah, it's not serving you now.
It's not serving you now. So if you look around you, is someone trying to come up you with a knife, No. So it's not real.
Yeah.
And so what you say to the thought is, well, be cheeky here, do one. But
wow, that's it. It's taking ownership, isn't it?
It's taking ownership.
And reminding yourself that you can control those thoughts. And it takes practice, I'm assuming.
Well, you can't control what comes in.
No, but you control
how you respond to that thought.
How you respond.
And of course, if you respond repetitively to those intrusive thoughts, it's likely that the brain is going to say, do you know what, I'm going to stop sending them because I'm now hardwiring that response. I now know that those thoughts are not real.
Absolutely.
So you then end up hardwiring, growing new circuitries, new neural pathways that serve you. Yeah. But what I will say is, when you're training the brain, when you've dealt with the thoughts, why don't you look at how you really want to feel? You know?
Yeah.
How do I want to feel right now? Yeah. So that thought would have given you an emotion.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, because the thought triggers the emotion triggers the behaviour, and then that becomes your reality, your belief.
Wow.
So it goes on and on and on.
It goes on, and that's where professionals like yourself can really help understand those thoughts, question those thoughts, and so on.
I call it unpicking.
Unpicking, that's exactly what you're doing. Unpicking all the layers, all the different layers that make us human at the end of the day. So Theresa, can you tell us how clients or potential customers can get in touch with you and work with you?
Yeah. So I'm now working at the Wellbeing Centre.
How many days a week?
5 days a week.
5 days a week.
Yeah,
lovely.
Whenever I've got clients. I have done some from home, and I do some home visits. I've got some elderly people who can't leave home, and some might say they just want someone to talk to. But I actually do hypnosis with some of them.
Brilliant.
And they love it.
Absolutely.
You're never too old. One person said to me, my eldest one is 84, and someone said to me, why on earth would an 84-year-old want therapy?
Why not?
I looked at them and went, why not?
Yeah.
Because she's got something that she's got an open wound.
Yeah.
From many years ago.
Absolutely.
And she now is in a place where she wants to be able to, you know, heal that open wound.
And there shouldn't be a time limit on that, should there?
Absolutely not.
So it sounds like you're open to anyone that's willing to dive that bit deeper, and you can help facilitate that. You maybe don't know what it is that is triggering emotions or behaviours, but okay, so get in touch through Thea Wellbeing Centre, and I'm sure you can be booked in with Theresa soon. Any other comments before we finish up?
Just thank you for listening. I hope you found this podcast useful.
Yeah.
And there will be other podcasts that I'm looking forward to doing because there's so many topics I'd like to talk about.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, I think what would be really lovely one day is to do a live recording that people could actually
ask questions,
interact and ask questions just as you've been doing, because there's so many people also that can't afford therapy.
Yeah.
Private therapy is expensive.
Yeah.
And although I try to keep my costs reasonable, everything has gone up.
Yeah.
And I think that I would like to get more out to people, that even if it's just a small charge.
And that's the beauty of socials and things.
Exactly.
The content's available, the information's out there.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time, and look forward to the next one.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining.